Well, good afternoon. Thanks for coming. I'm going to talk to you today about growing and leveraging an audience on social media, and more specifically on Facebook. I'm going to try to leave time for questions. If I run over, I'll be here for an hour afterwards. I'm more than happy to talk to you and take any questions that you have. So as I'm sure you heard during introductions, my husband David and I own a couple companies. Our first dip into the business world was right after college with our healthy vending company. The machines are wrapped, they stand out, we have a transit, we had a website. I don't want to say it was an easy sell because we all know nothing in business is really easy, but it was a fairly easy product. Once we got it in one high school, all the principals saw it, they kind of felt like dominoes. So 2 years after that, David came to me with the idea for Where to Wheel, which is an online trail database for Jeep and truck off-roading enthusiasts. And we knew we were going to have to figure out a way to market this, but it didn't have a physical entity. So we did what most people in late 2013, early 14 were doing. We took out an ad in a magazine. This was the largest off-roading magazine. They had 300,000 subscribers. This quarter-page ad cost us $6,000, and we got 3 signups, which is terrible, right? You're all like, ugh. So at this point, I'm like, what did we get into and what are we going to do? Thankfully for us, Kevin, there you are, came up and he was like, hey, Facebook just came out with this new feature called Facebook Ads. It's really cheap and you can get really targeted. You guys should check it out. And I'm like, yes, that sounds awesome. The problem we had was we didn't have any social media for Where to Wheel. We also didn't have any for the vending. It was not really a thing going on in the 2011. And David didn't and still doesn't have any social media. So I had to start the Where to Wheel Facebook page. At the time that I started this, I knew 3 things about off-roading, and that was 1, it was a male-dominated field, 2, it was muddy and it stunk, and 3, I thought they were crazy because they would spend all this money fixing their cars, they go out and purposefully break them, and then do it all over again, right? So I started from that, and I've grown it to almost 50,000 followers. And so I'm going to talk to you today about how I've done this in about right under 4 years and give you some points on how you can take this to your business. I've also had several viral posts. I've had about 5 or more go to over 1 million. My first viral post was that far one, and it actually ended up going to 2.2 million people. No boost, no pay, just free. So when I started, as I said, I didn't really know a lot about the audience or what to even post to them, right? I'm a female, and I'm like, I don't know what they're interested in. So what I did was I went on my personal Facebook page, and I started typing in keywords. Off-roading, mudding, 4x4, and I would see what pages had large audiences in those specific terms, and I started following them. So if you go on my personal Facebook page, it looks like it should belong to a guy because it's all off-roading, but it's mine, and I would start sharing content to our page and judging how our audience would interact with it. And then what this did was it helped us establish the first couple hundred likes. And it also solidified Where to Wheel with a lot of industry leader names in our market and kind of gave us an authoritative voice very early on. I started posting my own content about a couple months after that. I always tell everybody, you're going to have a post that people don't like. It's just going to happen. We all know people love to say what they think online, and just kind of roll with it. It's going to happen more than once. Don't let that discourage you. So this is, if you take one thing away from my talk today, it's this right here. This is the #1 mistake I see most business pages make. There's too much selling. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but I don't get on Facebook to be sold. It is becoming the marketplace for selling, but you get on to be entertained. So I've applied this rule. I'm sure you guys have all heard the 80-20 rule before, and I applied to social media. 80% entertainment, 20% sell. Now, entertainment is, solidified based on your market, your customers. So some examples for us, this far picture right here is an entertainment, okay? So 83% of my market are Jeep owners. They love photos of Jeeps. They've seen 1,000 of them, but they love them. So this was just a Muddy Monday post. How was your weekend? Who got to hit the trail? No sell, just straight entertainment. The one closer to me is more of a sell. So on Where to Wheel, I'm selling our trail database, and I want them to go sign up and use the site. Now, if you notice, I also have a picture of a Jeep in here, and it's off-roading. So I've combined the entertainment with the sell. If you can figure out how to do that, you'll get higher conversions. So every time I post one of these, I get at least double signups that day, sometimes triple, sometimes even higher, depending on how well I do. So that's looking into your customer base. How can you sell and entertain them at the same time when you post your sell? The other key feature is engagement. So many people take all this time to build a Facebook page, they don't talk to the clients. This is your customer service online. I get messages every day of, oh my gosh, thanks for getting back to me. I didn't expect a response, which is absurd because somebody's posting this. It's not a robot, right? Somebody's behind the business, but that's the level they're used to online, is no response or delayed response. So engagement is really the key here. So this was a post, the new Game of Thrones trailer had just come out, and I had a picture of a Jeep covered in snow, so I did a hashtag winter's coming, and I said, show us your snow Jeeps. And I get a lot of responses back. And I just did something as simple as going on and saying, great shot, or love your Jeep, or what kind of tires are those, whatever, and they love it. So he responded back, they usually do, and they'll usually give you more information about them, and he told me the trail he was at. So then I went on our database. We didn't have the trail, so I private messaged him, and I said, hey, Brian, that looks awesome. How was the ride that day? By the way, we don't have that trail. Would you mind uploading on Where to Will? Here's the link. He was like, sure, no problem. And not only did he upload that one, he uploaded 4 other ones. So from one simple engagement with him, I got a free member, and I got 5 trails, which is a win for me, right? And this happens a lot, all the time. Now, I will admit that as the audience gets bigger, it gets hard staying up with all the comments, but I try to say something to at least half of them. That's the rule I use. I actually just had a guy this week, he had a great photo, and I was like, can I use this for a meme? And he's like, absolutely, it's my pleasure. And then I tag them, and then they'll share with their friends, and it helps spread the content farther. So that's an easy, free way, doesn't take a lot of time to kind of engage your customers. So this, you would think, doesn't need to be said, but consistency is really important. We all know there's so much online that our customers are trying to pay attention to, so staying consistent and staying in front of them is a key. I post every single week, Monday through Friday, without fail. I do not post on the weekend because I learned very early on that our clients, a lot of them are off-roading on the weekend and they don't have service, or they're working on their Jeep and their hands are dirty, or they're doing a trail cleanup, so I was not getting a lot of engagement on the weekend. You're going to learn by doing this, by posting the different days and watching when they engage with you and when they don't. Another thing to pay attention to here, I don't know if you noticed when I showed you our likes, is how many likes you have compared to followers. So likes, you're basically telling Facebook, I enjoy this content, but it's not a top priority. If you follow the page, you're telling Facebook, this is a top priority, you need to fit this into my algorithm whenever you can. And so if you have more followers than you have likes, then you can pay less attention to the time of the day you're posting. Also, I tell people a good way to judge how well you're engaging your audience is your likes compared to followers. Because if I go on and I follow your page instead of just liking it, you're probably communicating to me better than if you have more likes. So, it does not like this thing. So we're going to talk about how to leverage it now. So what you can do is, sorry, it's messing up. Everyone has that number one sell they want, right? You want them to give you money or buy something. You want them to book a moving or whatever you want them to do. But there are tons of other ways you can leverage your Facebook audience besides the number one. And I'm not going to say you won't get the number one because you will, but these are other ways your audience can help grow your business and your brand. The number one is competitive advantage. Everyone has what they think is their competitive advantage. This is a great place to sell it. Sometimes your customers don't know what your competitive advantage is or don't understand it, and this is a great way to talk to them and highlight that for them. Big milestones. So we hit 800 trail listings, which was a big deal for us, and we hit it early before we were expecting. So I posted this. Simple, we hit 800 trail listings. We got 100 signups that day. So big milestones for you if you're adding a new location, if you're a brewery and you're adding a new beer, get them involved in what your day-to-day looks like. This was our best example. So Where to Will used to be a paid service, and last June we switched to free. And I put this press release together, and no money, we just put it out, and in 24 hours we got 1,800 signups. So this is the power you can use from your Facebook audience. So what I'm talking about is leveraging them for different aspects that help you. The big one right here is credibility and discovery. So investors love large Facebook audiences because it gives you credibility. It tells them that you are successfully and consistently communicating with your customers on a day-to-day basis, and they're engaging with you. And so that tells, a lot of companies can't do that, right? They don't really know who their customer is. They don't know how to talk to them. That's a problem. So that's where this lends your company, if it's you, your business, A lot of credibility here. Discovery is the big thing. If you're not really sure who your customer is, you can find a lot of information about your customer from your Facebook page. If you think your customer is a group of moms, you can post something to the page that moms would engage with normally. If they're not engaging, you're probably wrong. Your customer is probably not moms. You know, you can get them involved. So a great story I have is, do you guys know Flip Deck? It's a company that presented 1 Million Cups, which I'm an organizer of. It's a toy you like flip, and they had one color, and they were trying to figure out what other colors to do. But it's a boy and a girl toy. So they didn't want to do pink, they didn't want to do blue, they didn't want to do the gender thing. So they had a fairly good Facebook group, and I said, pick 5 colors, let your Facebook audience pick which 3 to produce. And they did it, and they followed through. So they got their audience involved, and then I'm more likely later on to buy that toy because you got me involved in the process. So if you have a restaurant and you're trying to add new features or new, appetizers, get them involved, let them vote, and then they're more likely to come visit and try that because you engage them. So you can really leverage your audience here, and then you get feedback, right? Everyone needs feedback. Well, they'll tell you what they think. If you have a new, let's say you have a new service, and you want to know how it's doing, and it's just terrible, they're going to tell you, and then you can fix it or delete it, whatever you want to do with that. Which leads me into finding out your customer. So we did this backwards. I wish I had me in the beginning. These were the first 3 Facebook ads we ran. Everything was the same except the picture. And we actually thought the red Expedition was going to perform the best because it was an action shot. It did not. What we found out was the Jeep was the best, and what I figured out from research after that is 83% of the off-road market are Jeep owners. So if you saw our ad in the magazine had a Hummer on it, right? All of our marketing materials had Hummers on it. Our landing page had a Hummer on it. That's a problem because Jeep owners hate Hummers. So now 83% of my market that I'm trying to get use my product hates the logo. Well, not really the logo, Kevin, but the photo behind the logo. So we had to spend a lot of time and a lot of money after to fix that. So now it's got Jeeps, the Hummer's gone. But if I had used my Facebook page and posted a Hummer and seen what kind of engagement, I probably could have saved myself that money. So I tell a lot of businesses, if you're going to do ads on Facebook and you haven't done them before, take the picture, take the content, post it on your page. See what happens. If you get no engagement, it's probably going to get no engagement as an ad as well. And you can save yourself money. So this is how we did that. And then we figured out, like I said, 83% on a Jeep. Jeep owners love Jeeps. They'd pay attention to the Jeep, right? Because the hardest thing to do when you're running an ad is to get me to stop scrolling, right? You are so fast now. We just blow right past stuff. And there's so many ads that we're so used to them. So getting me to stop scrolling, or you do that where you scroll and you backtrack some to see what it was, that's really, really difficult. So if you can figure out, for us, the Jeep worked because they love Jeeps and they'll watch all the photos of Jeeps all day, videos, anything, or here's the other one. He's going to fix it. If you can create intrigue or curiosity. This is the key here. So humans are naturally curious. How many of you have been on Facebook and you're scrolling and they have the video with the pan and they're pouring the oil in it and they're getting ready to cook something and you're like, ooh, what are they cooking? Or I hate this example, but it's so good. It's like the kitten is like frozen to the ground and you're like, oh my gosh, is it going to die? You stop for a second and you pay attention. Now, you might not watch that video all the way through, but you stop enough to at least get their name in front of you and to look at what they're trying to show you. So how you do that is figuring out what speaks to your customers, what makes them curious, intrigues them, and can make them stop scrolling. So this was our best performing ad. This actually did better than the Jeep. And the reason that is because a lot of off-roaders do live on the East Coast. Most people think it's all West Coast. There are a lot on the East Coast, and it's very, very difficult to find trails on the East Coast. We're the only trails map that has trails on the East Coast. So I put this ad up. The region was, the East Coast region on Facebook. And so any person that's an off-roader, any of those black trail pins, they're immediately intrigued. Like, oh my gosh, they have trails in my area. I'm going to go learn more. And this converted very, very well for us. So every customer base has a niche within the base. And this is what you got at last time with the submariners. You have to figure out what your niche inside your customer base is and then use that to leverage the entertainment, intriguing them, sparking an emotion to get them to pay attention to you. So the key point, this is all very simple stuff. It's kind of human nature. Remember to entertain, engage them, and then figure out how to leverage them. And if you can do this and engage them, then it establishes a feel-good feeling with your brand, and they're more likely to do or convert or take the action you're asking of them later when you do push them to sell, rather than selling up front, up front, up front. So provide them value, then ask them to do something for you instead of the other way around. And I don't know if we have time for questions, but that's all I have today. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer anything. I can talk your ear off about Facebook. Like I said, I'll be around for another hour, so yes.
Do you use any other social media, Instagram, Twitter?
Yes, so we also do Instagram. We actually had a partner who was running the Instagram in the beginning. I just took the Instagram over less than a year ago, and I've grown it from, he was out about 1,000, we're at over 3,500 now. It does change a little bit. You have to talk a little bit differently on Instagram. Like memes don't do as well on Instagram as they do on Facebook. Straight just photos do better, but you can use a lot of the same information. Asking things like tag a friend don't do as well on Instagram, so I don't usually ask that. I will do that on Facebook. So a lot of the times the same theme or photo, but switching up the context and kind of what I'm saying to them. Yeah, Eric.
Just one page on Facebook, or do you have a couple that you do for like different dishes?
So I only have Where to Wheel. I have helped other people with theirs and given them tips like Flip Deck. I helped them increase theirs when they were going through their, what's that thing, Kickstarter. I only do Where Do I have mine. I have been asked to help other people, but we run two companies. I'm always like, I'll get to it.
What I meant was like for Where to Wheel.
Yes.
Like maybe one page for the West Coast folks, one for like.
Gotcha. No, we just have one big one. Yeah, just one. Yes.
Have you ever gotten creating groups for any of them?
No. So what they do is actually when they go on Where to Wheel, our website, you can create any groups you want there. So I kind of aggregate them. And the reason I don't do that is there are a lot of segregated groups for Jeep communities. Like there's a Hampton Roads Jeep Club, a Tidewaters Jeep Club, even though Tidewater's kind of in Hampton Roads. So there's a lot of that. So I kind of aggregate, and all of them post and interact together actually on our page. So a lot of the segregated groups will follow us, engage, share, and I share their content on ours as well. So, yes.
Great, first and foremost. With response to people posting potentially negative comments, negative interactions, how do you combat that? How do you work around that?
That's a great question. I get asked that all the time. Unless they are like just ridiculous, like you guys stink, blah, blah, I'm going to burn it to the ground. I try not to delete any comments. People start to get angry, and you guys know word spreads really quickly on the internet. So if they say, oh, I didn't like this feature, and I deleted it, that can kind of create a negative reaction. Actually, what I do is, not long into posting on Where to Wheel, I posted a photo of what I thought was a Jeep. Come to find out it was a remote control vehicle. And I was actually in a business meeting, and I came out and I had like 100 notifications. I was like, wow, I didn't think that one was that interesting. And they demolished me. I mean, demolished me, right? So instead of getting angry, what I did was I played back. And so I went on, I'm like, oh my gosh, I must have had too many beers last night. I don't know how I missed that. Yeah, you're right. Maybe I need glasses. You know, I played it. One poor soul was like, it is kind of a hard angle to tell. And I'm like, oh, thank you. You know, but depending on the comment, that's really like you kind of have to judge that. We will sometimes get negative comments about Where to Wheel. And actually what I do, so when we were running our ads, when it was paid, all the time we got, why do I have to pay for this? You know, why isn't this free? And I actually wrote a response that I saved, and I would tell them we had a reason why, and I would share it with them, and 9 times out of 10 they would then convert. So I actually used the negative. I wouldn't try to tell them they were wrong or I was right. I would just kind of explain our point of view or play back, and that worked really, really well for us. Yes?
What he was saying is there's ways to put special keywords that you won't post at all.
Yes.
Say a specific word and you won't post at all. But I was thinking about you mentioned earlier about replying to, I guess, fans.
Engaging.
I know there's some cases as a page you're not allowed to do that.
So if you follow my page or like my page, then I can interact with you. Now you can block me after that, but until you've told Facebook to block them, I can interact. Ours is a public, it's not a private page as well, so that helps. And whenever I comment, I'm not doing anything like selling, like, oh, you need to go to where, well, it's all about them. So I'm engaging them and kind of giving them their 30 seconds of fame, and then I kind of use that later. So we don't have a problem with that, or anyone getting upset with that. People love for you to use their photos. They love it. So I have not had any issues.
I'm trying to do it, but it's like something I can't do.
I'll have to look at your page. You might have a setting, but that I've never had anyone have that problem. I'll have to look, yeah. Yes?
My boyfriend is all over a racing drone club, and it's
Uh-huh.
a similar thing. They're adrenaline junkies, and they're
Yep.
sharing locations. This is where you can go to fly, but then, their group gets to a certain point. Sometimes people do something stupid that they have to make sort of a PSA and be like,
Yes.
don't fly near,
Yep.
Osprey, don't fly near buildings. Like, do you ever feel the responsibility to get to a point where you're like, okay, try not to, when you're at the park, don't run down an animal, or,
Yep.
have you gotten to that point where you've had to
Yes.
feel the need to do that?
Yes, so, and that's actually great. We've had this on the website where trails are listed that shouldn't be listed and off. We kind of regulate that, but what I also do is Tread Lightly is a big industry name, and they protect off-road trails. So when they post, they always post like the 10 guidelines, don't stay the trail, so we'll share that. We also share tips and tricks for off-roading about, if it says private property, don't go on it. So we do counter that. So I watch kind of what they're posting, and if it's generalized off-roading tips, then I share. There's also Blue Ribbon Coalition. We work with them, and the Virginia Four-Wheel Drive, which is in our area. We are a sponsor of them, so when they're posting information about trails in here in Virginia, we will also share that. So that's kind of how I combat that. We do get asked questions, or that, like one time someone had shared a photo with me that I was using as a meme, and a guy actually messaged me, and he's like, that trail is now closed because someone went off, So then what I did was I adjusted that post and I let everybody know as an alert, this trail is now closed. So I have done things like that. Yeah. Yeah.
What's your view on hashtags?
Oh, lots. I actually came up with 2 in our area. Well, our field, hashtag Trail Thursday was not one. So when I do our sale, like where I did Find Off-Road Trails, I started using hashtag Trail Thursday. A lot of them are like customer-centered. So Jeep owners, Muddy Monday, lifted Jeeps. I'll hashtag the actual specific model of that Jeep, because within Jeeps there's different models and they all think they're the best, So if it's an XJ and I hashtag an XJ, they're more likely to share it, items like that. So I kind of actually paid attention to what people were using. And Instagram's a great place to find hashtags for your area, and then I just test them. If they're not interacting with one, then I don't really use it. Yeah.
Do you find that hashtags provide much boost on Facebook, or you mainly just use them on Instagram?
I use them on both. I started using them on both, and I think it helps connect information. They definitely work better on Instagram, like if you're trying to lead them back to a specific place. But I do use them, everyone, on Facebook. I don't do the, like the posts where it's like one line is what they're saying. It's like a paragraph of hashtags. I don't do that. I pick a few, always less than 10. I always hashtag Where to Wheel. But I do use them on both. Yeah. When we first started Where to Wheel, we actually were 100% free because I can't charge you for an empty trail map, right? So when we reached a certain number of members in trails that we determined had enough value, we closed the map. And you had to pay to see the trails, which is mainly what people are coming to us for. We have a great community. Beginners like it because we have forums in our area, and if you ask a beginner question, they kind of demolish you. So we've kind of adopted, been the beginner area. And so we locked it out and started doing subscription-based. And that was working well. They were signing up, money was coming in, but we weren't reaching the growth we wanted to reach. So there's 36 million off-roaders in the U.S., so we're trying to capture that. So we decided to switch to free, and we did that last June, and how we handled that was we sent out an email, which actually had a 63% open rate. And this guy right here is really good at writing emails. We just sent one the other day. It was 38% open rate, so he's really good. And we basically sent it to all of our members, and we said, hey, thanks for supporting us. We're going to switch to free. We've been listening to you guys. This is what's going to change. And if you're a paid member, you can cancel at any time. But the paid people got 3 extra premium options, like Need a Recovery, which is big for us. They got trail notifications, and they don't get ads on the map. So there's still like an option to pay. We actually only had 10 cancels. So that was a really good switch for us. We were expecting like half of them to just jump ship, right? And we have not, our cancel rate has not gone up or declined. It's just kind of stayed. So we switched. The switch went really well, and then we got 1,800 signups. It actually trickled into a little like 2,400 over that whole week, which was really good for us. Now we're working on kind of aligning our SEO better to open up more traffic that's that we're not getting, I guess. So 70,000 people search off-road trails a month on Google. So we're trying to tap into that better right now. And we've been making headway on that. So we're not quite at courting advertisers yet. We're hoping to be doing that by the end of 2019. And another side note, so how I talked about where I would share the content, I also started sharing contents with big name companies, and I've been doing it for a year so they know who I am. And so like if they're having like a tire sale, I'll share it on Where to Wheel. And then so now they know our name, they know who we are. So I'm hoping that later when I try to go get them to sign up, it's not as much of a cold call, more of a warm call. I'll let you know how that goes. But that's been a tactic I kind of use. So it's gone well, and now we're switching everything over to kind of take on advertisers, and we're learning that arena, which is way different. So, yeah, good? All right, thank you. If you have any more questions, feel free.